Well, I realized my microphone was moving on in the previous segments, but that's all right. So, quite a few things happened uh, in those segments. So, first thing I wanted to mention is that, well, the Alliance did make their first action, which was to move their carrier up, just reconnecting their lands, trying to avoid the pirates. And they don't have any other fleets. They were unlucky enough to get a fortress world and not a shipyard, so they're completely unable to make more fleets until they expand and get a new shipyard. That makes them really vulnerable right now since they only have one fleet. If they lose that fleet, it's pretty much just game over for them. Now, the Federation, what they've decided to do, they've decided to go ahead and attack the pirates, which is just right next door. And now we're having this clash of titans between these two large factions. Now we're actually seeing some of the most powerful fleets fight against each other here. So in front of us we have the pirate. Well, no, the pirate empire's all over there. Here is the Federation's prideful fleet. Two carriers, a battleship, and a corvette with a lot of fighters to support. It is not a light force. So that's going to do a lot of damage. And over here we have the Pirate Empire with their own major force. As you can see, they have their 3 battleships with additional fighters that they carry with them. Then they have 3 frigates. All of these are here to dish out a lot of damage, and I honestly don't know who's going to win this battle. Whoever wins is going to have a major advantage in the battlefield, but of course, well, I'm going to say right now, the Pirate Empire does have backups. The Federation doesn't have too much in terms of backups, but they can produce more fleets once they get more income. We're going to declare war and going to watch these titans battle. So almost immediately we have fighters jumping into action. Lots of fighters jumping into action here. I believe on the other side you should have a similar look, with lots of fighters moving in. Yep. Oh, there's going to be a really big battle. You can already see the ships starting to split up into their own little segments, and then these fighters are kind of just splitting up into squadrons. There are some trying to split from the rest of the group, while some are staying together. You can see they're kind of just spreading out a bit here to kind of just make their the guns from the other ships move away here. You can see there's some shots already coming in towards larger ships here. Already a lot of cannon coming in trying to hit these fighters. I think these fighters are long gone. If we go over here, we should see some more fighters jumping in. Yep, there they are. Ooh, there's already railguns coming in to attack these fighters. Seems like these heavier fighters are kind of just sitting back a little bit here, trying to get their bearings back. This battleship is definitely charging in. There's already attacks from the fighters coming in. This battleship is going to soak all that and try to jump in and do as much damage as possible. Now we just see the clash of all these fighters here. There's going to be a lot of lag as there is a lot of missile on both sides. Yep, there's a lot going on. You can see even now these battleships are moving in and firing away everything they can to take out these fighters. There's already some shots coming in from the other carriers. Lots of damage being done. You can see over here that the Baron is taking a route from the side, so they can do a heavy broadside towards all the enemies out there. See, there's a lot of color here as the fighters are now charging and trying to do damage to those battleships. They're already beginning to fire away, and they're going to try to whittle down those shields. And then the other carrier in the distance here, it's really just keeping its distance here. Pretty soon it is going to use its main weapon on these other battleships here. You can definitely see these fighters are charging and trying to do as much damage as possible. It's like a light shot here as these two massive fleets just tear each other to shreds. Point defenses are going wild. It's actually surprising that this battleship here is still alive. Although it is taking a lot of damage, its systems are not doing particularly well here. You can see here a lot of fighters are starting to split up, attacking different targets. The other battleship there is actually approaching this battleship, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. At least whatever damage it can do at this close range. And I believe the Corvette is still sitting out here. Might have taken some fatal damage, but it's still alive somehow. It's funny, I think there's a kind of a trend where basically the AI of this ship just gets taken out. It's not a well-calculated railgun strike, it just sits there being a bullet sponge. Yeah, it's still somewhat alive. There's a lot of fighters here just dealing damage. Take a look over here. It seems like the other battleships are charging at this carrier. Seems like there's a bit of a broadside battle going on here. These two are just charging in here, giving themselves different angles to attack them. It is just raining bullets on that carrier. He's gonna need some support soon. I believe that's what the other carrier over there is trying to do. There is some fighter support trying to help out as well. Yep, this carrier is definitely moving into support. There he goes. He's gone within range to his beam weaponry, which is going to tear through these battleships. You can see he's targeting both of these battleships simultaneously. There's a lot of fighters going in to strike this battleship. You can see as these fighters are passing by, they are being hit by all these these other ships. Okay, so this carrier is sitting back a little bit so it can recharge its shields a little bit, and also just so we can get more damage done with those cannons. You can see he's firing in all directions at pretty much just everything he can point at. And this carrier here is really close. It's definitely eating a lot of damage. These other battleships are not letting, they're not letting their guard down. They really want to go after that battleship over there. So they're just moving in. You can see they're just shredding these fighters that are trying to pass by. It's not great. Yeah, there's not going to be much left of these fighters at this rate. You can see that this carrier is getting a bit of distance here. That's firing its railguns and everything it can. I believe it is trying to target some of those fighters off in the distance. We can see that the other battleship over here is slowly trying to move forward. It deals more damage. Well, there's quite a few lag spikes here. It seems like this battleship is not doing very well. It's taking a lot of damage from the neighboring battleships and the frigates. A lot of damage is being done to these frigates. It seems like some of them are starting to go down here. So most of the battle is concentrated over here. But there's a lot of damage being done here. These fighters are all charging in. Thing is that these fighters are not going to do particularly well against all these close range weapons. You can see here that they're desperately trying to shoot down these fighters. These fighters are just refusing to give up. They're still trying. There's a lot of damage being done here. You can see that this carrier is definitely moving in, trying to use his forward weapon, or at least trying to point it in the right direction. If you can aim it just right, you can do some fatal damage. Those lasers are just digging into the armor here. In the meantime, there's a lot of railgun being fired out. These battleships are still doing everything they can to take out these fighters. these battleships are still moving forward, trying to take on these the Baron here. And the Baron here seems to be holding its well, the Baron's holding its ground fairly well. He's dodging as best it can, firing as much as it can with those cannons. So definitely going to do a lot of damage. Now it appears the battleship has joined the fight over here. It's just moved in here to deal as much damage as it can. I'm guessing it came over here since most of the frigates have been dealt with. It appears there are still some frigates off in the distance over here that are trying to do as much damage as they can. But even then, there's still entire chunks coming off of these ships. The battleships are still holding pretty strong, doing as much damage as they possibly can. There's a lot of gunfire going around. It appears that the fighters are not going after the engine bays. Yeah, this battleship isn't looking too good. His engines are starting to fail. He's doing whatever he can to take out these fighters from a distance. Over here you can see the other battleship. It's probably taking a lot of damage, to the point where it's unable to really move much. And he's slowly sinking with these. Either that or he's going down, just to try avoidance grenades or something. Still charging in, trying to do everything they can. These fighters are still going after this battleship. They're doing quite a bit of damage here. They're slowly ripping out the weapon systems here, mainly those railguns. So they're pretty much just taking out the defenses. They are approaching to do as much damage as possible. Still quite a lot of railgun going around. Even this battleship is taking a lot of damage from all this railgun. So pretty soon that railgun might cease if these battleships take too much damage. At this point I don't even know if they've even pierced the shields of these other ships yet. It appears that this carrier is falling down a little bit. I guess it's just looking for a different angle of attack. From down here, this ship might actually be able to do enough damage to take out maybe some engine pods or something. It's definitely tearing through the middle of the ship. All this cannon fire is really doing a lot of damage to this other ship here. To the point where I don't even think it has reverse thrust anymore. It's just pressing forward and doing as much damage as it can. It appears the shields on this ship have given way. There's a lot of fire going into it. It's still holding on as best it can. He's definitely lost all of his forward engines there. That's definitely not good for him. And we're back to continue the battle here. Let's go ahead and just put away all the signals here so we can continue spectating. Oh, there's the game is done freezing. There we go. So the battle continues. There's quite a bit of damage on some of these battleships here. You can see that this carrier is definitely doing whatever it can while trying to stay away from the fight. Definitely trying to do long range damage with all of its cannons. Out here we can see that there's still quite a bit going on here. It appears that the Duke carrier here is actually moving away from the rest of the battleships there, and is now going towards the other battleship straight away from the rest of the group. And you can see this battleship here is still doing whatever it can. You can see here that this Corvette is still flying. Yeah, it's pretty soon I think it's going to fall down. I don't think it's going to be that healthy for it to constantly take this amount of fire from a distance. There's definitely a lot of cannon fire going on here. Let's take a look at the situation over here. We can see that the battleship is taking quite a bit of damage, but it's still alive somehow. And we can see there's a frigate in the distance that's trying to do its own damage. Although it has taken some hits, but it's still going strong. And these battleships are just becoming shredded from all of the debris just coming off of them. Yeah, there's barely even an engine left on this. You can see that the entire right side seems to have exploded here, and there's a lot of debris still coming off. And I believe a lot of this point defense is still doing whatever it can to take out missiles. It's definitely a lot of explosions. Yeah, pretty soon these battleships are going to be taken out. Over here we can see that there are fighters still in the battle, still trying to do whatever they can. I'm actually quite surprised that there are still fighters out here doing whatever they can. They've definitely assisted in the battle quite a bit, taking out, well, doing a lot of damage to these larger ships. You can definitely see the damage that they do. At this rate, this battleship might go down. I don't think it's equipped to take on the carrier that is approaching it. So those point defenses are doing whatever they can to take out these fighters. Yeah, there's barely anything left of this corvette here. If that battleship continues to fire at it, it should fall pretty soon. Yep, there goes some more thrusters. This ship is literally being held up by just 2 thrusters, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets wiped out pretty soon. But even then, it appears this battleship is just barely even holding on. It's definitely doing whatever damage it can. And it appears like the shields on this carrier have fallen, so now a lot of damage is being done to its armor as well. And it's definitely not healthy as its back is turned towards the other battleships, which are now attacking with long-range railguns. Definitely a lot of big explosions out here. Ooh, it appears that we missed whatever happened over here. The entire bridge of this battleship is completely gone. And it is just flying upwards. It appears like it's trying to catch up with the other battleship there that's flying upwards, but there's a lot of cannon coming in its direction. I think this battleship is going to be toast pretty soon. Definitely a lot of damage being done here. One well-placed shot from that carrier and this battleship will be disabled for a short amount of time. It seems like this Corvette is still trying to fly with whatever it has. There's a lot of damage being done here. I think some of these railguns are also aiming for fighters that are off in the distance. Yep, there goes some hydrogen. And I believe that Corvette should be falling now. Oh, it's definitely going to be falling now. That's one less ship that the Pirate Empire has to deal with. This carrier is just slowly moving forward here, firing whatever weapons it has. And we're back from yet another crash. Man, this battle is really intense to the point where it's actually causing the game to crash. Hopefully we can actually finish going through it. Here's that this battleship here is slowly going down as well, but it's not giving up without a fight. It still has enough thrust to keep it up. It appears that there was an explosion towards the rear. It's definitely lost most of its main thrusters. But it's still going to fire everything it's got towards these enemy ships. And this battleship is falling apart, but it's still doing everything that it can. The other battleship up there that's still trying to rise up and attack the carrier, it's not doing too well there. It definitely still has a few weapons. Not a lot, but it has a little bit that might help it out. Those railguns are going to do whatever they can to take out the battleship and the other nearby ships. Over here we can see the battleship and the Duke are still out here doing whatever they can. And over here we can see the Corvette, which is taking quite a bit of damage. It is slowly falling. Definitely lost its gyroscopes there, and pretty soon it's going to lose all of its thrust entirely. Yep, there it goes. There's definitely a lot of long-range shots going on over here. I believe those are coming for the other frigate in the distance. Either that or there's some combat with some fighters here nearby. I believe I can see the frigate all the way over here. There it is. So you can see it's kind of just doing a broadside here, so we can attack with all of its side weapons there, which is quite effective from a distance. Gosh, that carrier went all the way up. Eventually it's going to stop and go down. You can see here, this battleship is still trying to take on that carrier. Things aren't going too well for either ship. There's quite a bit of damage going in. And this carrier is definitely taking a beating. Even the rear of the ship is pretty much just being gutted from a distance. Ooh, that was a really big explosion on board. Yeah, that is not healthy. A lot of weapons were lost in just that single strike there. So this carrier really needs to wrap this up and try to face its front towards where most of the shots are coming from. Otherwise it's going to lose even more of its systems. Appears this battleship no longer has any forward thrusters, so it's going to fall pretty soon. Yep, this battleship is definitely going down, alongside the corvette that has fallen down here. Actually surprising that some of its weapons are still firing and trying to help out. Yep, this battleship is definitely going to be toast. And then the other battleships will follow. I'm actually really unsure if that battleship over there is going to continue to survive. It is also taking a ton of distance. Up here we can see that carrier is going pretty high up. So at this range it's all just railgun. There we go. That's one battleship downed. That'll make it easy pickings for a lot of these other ships around it. You can see this battleship over here is drifting a little bit, but it is going to do whatever it can. There should be some other battleships over here, so you can see they are trying to go up after the other battleship up there. Oh, absolutely. This battleship here is actually leaving the planet's atmosphere. What I can do to actually help things along is to actually just do a quick cleanup of everything that is really small. Just a very small cleanup. And this should help not only with the freezing, but also helping with all the debris inside these ships getting into battle a little bit easier. So now that we've done a little bit of cleanup, things should run just a little bit smoother. Some of these ships will hop into battle a little bit better now. You can see that the like this carrier over here and this battleship are just closing in, doing whatever damage as possible. At least from where they are. There is a frigate over here that is still doing whatever it can. Over here, if these battleships are still trying to approach that carrier in the distance there, but they're not doing particularly well. In fact, it seems like this battleship is actually going back into the battle as quickly as it's able to. There we go, it's charging in. It may have taken a decent amount of damage, but it's not going to stop it from continuing forward. It's a lot of cannon fire going into one ship. Surprised it's even still flying after all that. I think a lot of shots are going after this other battleship up here. She's not taking it all too well. It's definitely trying, but it's a lot of damage. Those railguns are going to do whatever they can. If they get close enough, they can use it to other weapons. Those cannons are definitely doing a lot of big hits. It appears that the other carrier is actually hopping into the battle here. As you can see, this battleship is just circling around, but the Duke was actually just jumping into battle here. I believe it's up here. There it is. This is drifting to combat here, doing whatever it can with its closer weapons. Of course, that means that the enemy here the pirates are also going to be using their closer weapons. They're definitely using them to the best of their advantage. And they're taking a lot of damage from this. Yeah, I don't think they have any upwards thrusters left, so they're going to be falling down to the planet's gravity pretty soon. But they might as well do as much damage as they can while they're at it. The other battleship here is just jumped upwards. Not sure why, but it's trying to jump closer to battle here. Maybe it's lost all its gyros. It's definitely moving upwards very quickly to try to get closer to these other ships. Now this might not end very well for him at all. These might just land in the middle of the space. But he's definitely close enough to start ripping a hole into the other ships. I just realized that battleship just got completely torn apart. It's just literally being ripped to shreds. So I believe that's all of those battleships gone. There should still be a cruiser somewhere. Or not cruiser, a frigate. Here it is. I believe this is the last ship that the pirates have that's still functional here. It might not even have any gyros left. It might have some, might not, I don't know. It's not really turning much, but it's definitely moving towards the enemy. At least a little bit. Either that or it's after something else over there. Which could just be a fighter or something. Over here, the battleship is still kicking into gear here. I can definitely see some shots from that frigate turning around, trying to hit the other ships above. Pretty soon they are going to switch targets. I think that's exactly what's going on here. Yep, there they go. because that frigate is facing the wrong way, it's going to take quite a bit of damage here. It's still going to fire away with whatever it's got. Even as its engines are being completely wiped out. Yep, that carrier is definitely moving in. Actually surprised to see some railgun out here. Wonder what that's about. Oh, it's the remaining Star Destroyer, or at least what's left of it. It's just falling down into the gravity well. Yeah, pretty soon this frigate's going to start falling. Even as its main thrusters are being pulled away. Well, that's a pretty large chunk of the frigate completely gone. Still doing whatever it can, but it is losing thrust pretty quickly. And it appears that the Baron has joined the battle over there. He's going to deploy an orbital bombardment from there. I don't think this frigate's going to handle that too well. All I can do is hope for some evasive maneuvers. I hope that they work. Yep, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, all the weapons on this frigate are basically gone. It's being held up by about like 2 thrusters now. So once those are gone, this ship is pretty much just falling. think it's safe to say that the Federation has won this battle. I mean, let me just count into how many Federation ships are still alive. I don't think there's any fighters on either side left at all. Yeah. So the Federation has come out on top, but all that's left is pretty much our 2 carriers and their battleship, which has gone off in the distance over here. Who knows where? But yeah, we're just going to return to the board and update it. Okay, that was a really long battle, but the Federation did eventually come out on top, and well, they have a new planet. And that planet, luckily for them, became a shipyard, which they then decided to upgrade with their second action. So now the Federation, also their fleet is a little bit damaged. They did get a new shipyard, and they can use that shipyard as a staging ground to basically push the Pirate Empire back. Either that, or the Pirate Empire is going to fight back and try to, hold of this area. There's definitely a lot of tension going on here, as there's the Pirate Empire's shipyard there, and the Federation's new shipyard there. Anyways, the Federation decided they're going to use our last action to do something that's kind of long overdue. They want to make sure to try to finish off the Alliance. So they've sent their fleet from their shipyard here. They've sent it down here to the Salos Canyons, and they're going to be taking on the Crusader carrier on this fortress world here. If they take out the carrier, then that means that the Alliance is practically no more, as they'll be stuck. However, if the Federation loses, then that means that the Alliance will continue to battle. So we're going to go ahead and see this battle underway. Well, here we are, we're on Salos in the Canyons, and we're going to have this battle here between the Federation and the New Galactic Alliance. Okay, so this battle has crashed my computer multiple times, so hopefully it goes through smoothly this time. Here you can see it in the Federation side, where they have their battleship, 2 frigates, and a corvette, along with a fighter. And off over here, we can see the Alliance is bringing out just their single carrier and some fighters. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and see who wins this battle. I'm not sure who will win this battle for sure, but from what it looks like, I don't know. They both have some advantages. That carrier has a lot of firepower. They have a lot of fighter support here. But if that carrier can get closer to their ships, then it might actually be able to do enough damage. You can see those frigates are immediately going to go forward, while the corvette and the the battleship is just sitting back here. See, his fighters are already going along with their missiles. And pretty soon they are going to deal whatever damage they can with their forward weapons. They are taking a lot of losses here. Pretty much immediately going after this this fighter here. And that fighter is just being completely torn apart. That's unfortunate. It appears that the frigates are now above, doing whatever they can. The battleship is also moving in, trying to do whatever damage. This carrier is just going to do a bit of a U-turn here to go after other targets. There's definitely a lot of missiles being fired here. The carrier is definitely taking quite a bit of damage. It's losing its thrusters. It is going to do whatever it can. The cannon fire from the other ships is definitely not helping out. These missiles are going to do whatever damage is possible. And just tearing apart these frigates as best as they can. If that frigate doesn't get taken out soon, it's just going to keep firing away. There's also the corvettes in the distance. Yeah, that corvette over there is hitting it pretty hard with his cannons. All the carrier can do is try to do some evasive maneuvers. The sooner it takes out this frigate, the better. The entire front of this other frigate has basically just been eliminated. And there it goes, into the ground. So with that ship eliminated, he just has to take out the other ships. That battleship there, yeah, the battleship up there is pretty much just hammering him with whatever it can. But it is definitely taking some hits. This carrier is definitely not looking too good. It is losing its thrusters pretty quickly here. Yeah, this is definitely not looking good. If this carrier doesn't do something soon, it's definitely going to hit the ground. Just like that, that carrier has touched the ground. We'll see if it is able to get back up or not. Yeah, this carrier is definitely not getting back up. I think it's just continuing to sink. It appears that the other frigates have been defeated here, as they don't seem to be going back up either. Alright, so with that, we'll go ahead and end the battle here, and we'll go ahead and mark that as a victory for the Federation, although they have taken quite a few losses here. Well, in order for the Federation to successfully take over the planet, the remaining ships still have to take on the fortress, which is right down the canyon over there. So we're going to go ahead and declare war here, and we're going to see how these last two remaining ships in the fleet do. It's just a single battleship and a corvette versus that lone fortress. You can see almost immediately that corvette is just charging in. And that battleship is going to keep its distance there. But it does need to move in if it wants to do some damage. The battleship is still out there doing whatever it can from a distance. But from where it is, it's definitely taking some hits. It's actually taken a very large hit already. Probably part of that is actually just some debris that's stuck inside of this ship here. There's definitely a lot of hits being done here. It's a massive hole going through the ship. Yeah, the corvette has definitely been shot down already. It appears the battleship has basically left the combat range, so I'm going to go and put it just a little bit closer so it can actually detect the enemy and go towards it. There we go. So from here, the battleship should get closer and do whatever damage it can. But it is going to be hit by all the turrets and stuff. So it needs to do whatever it can while it can. You can already see some shots from the other, from the main weapon over there. It's already quite a bit of shots digging in here. So that's not good for the battleship. Okay, so yeah, this battleship is not doing particularly well here. It's actually appears to be going down. That probably isn't going to end too well if it's lost some of its major thrusters, so. Oh, it's definitely going to hit the ground here. I'll consider that a loss for the Federation. So we're gonna go go back to the boards. We're gonna go and update the rosters, and then we're gonna see what the other factions are up to. Okay, so here we are back at the board, and with the Federation's failure to take over that planet, we're moving on to Delta Shipyard's turn over here. So Delta Shipyards, they've decided for their first turn they're going to be building a new fleet, which features a cruiser, some corvettes, and maybe just like one fighter. Nothing too special. But they're going to be using that new fleet to go ahead and attack the Great Red Sun Empire and continue taking more land away from them. So they're actually going to be taking out this alien desert planet here, which happens to be a fortress world. So it's going to be this one fleet versus a fortress world on the alien desert planet. We're going to go ahead and jump in and see what happens on this planet. Well, here we are. We're on the alien planet over here in the desert. Here we can see this lone fortress that's defending the planet. And over here we have Delta Shipyards arriving to try and take over this fortress. They've got their one cruiser, their several corvettes, and a single fighter. They're going to do their best to take out that fortress. We're going to go and declare war here. I'm going to watch these ships jump into battle. Almost immediately we can see all these corvettes and the cruiser moving in. There are torpedoes moving in as well. That's shots already exiting the fortress here, going after the other ships. They are firing away their railguns and doing everything they can. Although those shots are going to do quite a bit of damage. One of those corvettes has just taken a direct hit from the cannon. That's not great. There's more torpedoes being fired over there. These corvettes are moving in pretty close here. They're going straight after the main gun. Not sure what the corvette's plan there was, but he's definitely trying to attack from a different angle there. Surprisingly, the other corvette that rams the main gun is still alive somehow. Just gonna sit there and try to do whatever it can, though it will take hits pretty soon. You can see that the cruiser over there is firing away from a distance. This cruiser just has to go behind these mountains. It's not going to be very good for it. It's going to need to go above these mountains to get a good view. Otherwise, it's just going to be lost. The remaining corvettes here are still doing whatever they can, though they are taking hits at point blank range now. Yeah, that cruiser's definitely lost sight of its targets. I'm going to go ahead and move it a bit higher, or just into an area where it can actually see. There we go. Seems like this cruiser is trying to attack from below. Yeah, all these missiles are just going through and attacking from underneath. Yeah, these remaining turrets aren't going to be able to do all that much. You can see there are missiles coming in from underneath. Yeah, that cruiser is definitely trying to go for a long-range strategy here, which is working fairly well. They might end up going behind the mounts again, which isn't exactly great. You can see that this strategy of just firing through the fortress is actually working somehow. I don't think there's all that much this fortress can even do to defend itself, so I think at this rate, pretty sure Delta Shipyards has won this battle. Yeah, there's nothing else going to really be done here. So I'm going to go ahead and update the roster and mark this as a victory for Delta Shipyards. Alright, well, Delta Shipyards has completed all their turns now. Well, they've gone ahead and they've built a fleet, they've attacked and conquered a place, and then they decide to build a new fleet right down there, which is pretty much almost entirely fighters, just a single corvette. They might use that on the Federation at some point, but for now they're just going to hold on to that. So now we're moving on to the Pirates, and the Pirates, their first plan of action is actually they're going to be sending one of their weakest fleets from the Alien Forest here all the way over here to go take on the Federation at their shipyard. I don't think they like the shipyard, but they basically are just going to throw away this fleet to go and attack or weaken this other fleet here. So we're going to see how that turns out. Well, here we are to watch this massive battle happen yet again. It's not as big as the battle earlier in the episode, but it's similar. It's the same Federation fleet here, with their very powerful larger ships. You can see here they've got plenty of fighters as their carriers have restocked, and they're going to be facing off against the Pirate Empire's smaller fleet here, which is pretty much just going to weaken the Federation just a little bit. I don't think they're intended to win. I think possibly what the Pirates are trying to do is to throw away their weaker fleets so they can afford to create even stronger fleets. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and see what happens here. You see these frigates are pretty much just slowly moving in. Picking up a little bit of speed, and I think they're going to be going after those fighters first. There's definitely some shots going after the battleship there. It is holding on pretty well. It is firing everything it's got at the other frigate here. I don't think it's going to handle all too well. It's pretty much just in the firing range of all those cannons. Well, these frigates are definitely not looking good. Their lack of shields means that they're very vulnerable to these railgun shots and these cannons. You can see all these fighters are now joining the battle here. They're going to be doing a lot of damage. And being attacked from all sides of these fighters is lethal. I don't think it's going to last all that long. There goes an entire chunk of the hammer there. You can see the carrier in the back is also joining the fight. Yeah, this frigate is just toast. There's nothing it can do at this point. The entire front of the ship has been ripped off from the back of the ship. So yeah, that frigate is pretty much just gone, completely obliterated. And we can see that the other frigates over here are not doing as well either. They're just being completely torn apart. Federation is definitely not going easy on them. Some of these fighters are now starting to switch targets to the other frigates. If there's anything even left of them at this point. I think this is the last frigate, even then this frigate is just, there's no chance for it. And just like that, that ship is gone. You can see these fighters just flying through. Well, I think all these ships are, yeah, I don't think the Federation has taken any losses, if any at all. All of their battleships and carriers are still intact. So we're going to go back to the board and we're going to see what the pirates do next. Alright, so with the failure of, well, the Pirate Empire taking on that fleet over there, they've decided to do that with their next action. They're going to try to ignore that and they're going to focus on their more powerful fleets over here. I mean, yeah, they've gotten rid of all their weaker fleets and now all that's left is just 3 more powerful fleets. So their first fleet's featuring a super carrier that basically took over the Delta ship in its homeworld. They're moving that up here to the Salos crater, and they're going to be taking on this fortress world to go ahead and claim another world for their own. Not sure where my microphone turned off, but that's alright. We're just gonna jump into this battle here, and we're gonna see what happens with the with Delta Shipyards and the Great Red Sun Empire. So the Great Red Sun Empire is right over there. They've brought theirs one Corvette and some fighters, and they're going to be attacking Delta Shipyards, which just has their single cruiser and their Corvette here. They really don't like the idea of there being a shipyard here, so they're going to try to do whatever they can to pretty much defeat the shipyard and to get rid of this invading fleet before it gets to their homeworld. So we're going to go ahead and declare war, and we're going to watch this battle take place. It's already missiles being fired on both sides, and I think both sides are lacking point defense systems. Oh, they very much are lacking point defense systems. That Corvette just got shot down immediately by that cruiser. That means all they can do is pretty much just hope that their fighters have the firepower to take out these ships. The good thing about these fighters is that they're really small targets, which makes them hard to hit with torpedoes. But those railguns might be a big problem. Yep, they're trying to do everything they can to take out this ship. Those railguns are definitely hurting a lot. Damage is definitely being done here and there. This fighter isn't even being allowed to get close. It is still flying though. It's taking a lot of hits here. Here it goes. Charging back in, or at least trying to. Just want to practice some evasive maneuvers here and there. He's going to try his best to take out those enemy ships. He's definitely moving in, trying to avoid the Corvette down there, and he's going after the cruiser. He's just circling at this point, trying to get in close. That's a lot of railgun. There are some shots getting dangerously close to him. He's definitely not going to give up that easily. Some of these missiles are hitting, just not good for him. That's definitely not healthy. I'm actually really surprised this fighter still has thrusters to be able to fly here. But I don't think it's going to be lasting all that long. I think his main atmospheric thruster was shot down, so he's just trying to get back in with ion power only. He does have upwards atmospheric, so he can use the angle to his advantage to just kind of float towards the enemy. If he doesn't get completely torn apart by those railguns first. I think he only has 3 Atmos left. No, he might have some more. 5 Atmos. That's enough for him to keep on the air. But now he's on his way back. It's actually surprising this fighter has lasted this long. You'd think that by now a torpedo would hit him or something. So I hit directly to his wing. It was a massive explosion down there. I'm actually unsure where the cruiser is. Oh, never mind, it's all the way off in the distance there. He just got in range of it, and there's a lot of railgun coming towards him now. If that cruiser has the ability to, it could use torpedoes on this fighter just to finish this battle. And actually, I think this fighter might be falling down as it's lost more of its atmospheric thrust. I think at this rate, this last fighter is going to be going down. And just like that, I believe that fighter is finished. So yeah, that's the end of the the end of the Great Red Sun Empire's fleet there. However, it wasn't without a small victory. They managed to take out one of the corvettes. Unfortunately, that still leaves the cruiser as a notable threat to their homeworld. While the Great Red Sun Empire failed to take out the biggest threat, which is that cruiser, but they managed to take out that corvette, and they still have a fighter fleet at their homeworld. So the next best thing to do, well, according to the Great Red Sun Empire, is to send their fighter fleet against that cruiser. And hopefully that cruiser could actually be taken out by those fighters. At least that's the idea here. So we're going to go ahead and see if the Great Red Sun Empire is actually able to defeat that cruiser. Alright, and with that wrapped up, that should be the last thing that happens here. Yeah, so the Great Red Sun Empire, they basically failed to attack that planet twice, and their third action was to just go ahead and make another fleet of just entirely fighters on their homeworld, and I hope that they can protect themselves with that. Yeah, so their situation isn't great. Neither is the Alliance's situation. They're both at just like less than 5 planets. The Federation is holding pretty strong with a lot of territory all around here, and the Powered Empire is also doing exceptionally well. Delta Shipyards is doing okay. They're not doing particularly well, but they're at least afloat. Yeah, I don't think there's really all too much to say here. I mean, we've gone to see some pretty big battles in this episode. So, without further ado, I guess that's about it. If you guys are interested in joining season 2 of the Drone Wars, in which we're allowing you guys to submit your own fleets to go ahead and join in, we have a Discord for that. It'll be in the description. Yeah, that's about it. Take care and have a great day.